Generation Z, people who were born from 1995 onwards, is making its presence known as people from this generation are starting to enter the workforce and earning their own income. Vision Critical conducted an exclusive study showed that their media consumption habits differ from previous generations, even from millennials. Marketers and market researchers still have a lot of work to do to deepen their understanding of this generation, in particular in hospitality industry. And this has led us to our big question: how is Gen Z influenced by the cultural values in hospitality industry? So what is the hospitality industry? According to Savannah Samazuk, the hospitality industry is a broad group of businesses that provide services to the customers. The multi-billion-dollar hospitality industry has three primary areas: accommodation, food and beverage, and travel tourism. First, let's define accommodation. Accommodation is defined as ranging from bed, breakfast enterprises, and hotels to other facilities that offer lodging services, including hotel, motel, homestay, which are local residents allocate a small portion of their house or a spare house for the travelers, resort, villa, apartment, Airbnb, camping site, and touring camp. Next is tourism and travel. Tourism and travel in hospitality industry includes trains, airlines, and cruise ships. Food and beverage. Food and beverage services is a process of preparing, presenting, serving food and beverages to the customers through restaurants, food stalls, and etc. The survey was prepared and conducted within 2 weeks. Our target respondents belong to Gen Z, who was born from 1997 to 2005. A group of 5 people from ISP were interviewed to get their insights. And from those results, we built a survey with 43 questions. There were 60 responses in total, and 88.6% of the respondents stated to have an income of 2 to 5 million per month, since 84.1% are students and only 5 of them are part-time workers. However, 52.3% of them travel 2 to 4 times a year, and 38.6% travel less than twice a year.
Now, let's study about cultural values. So cultural values have been divided into 3 groups: self-oriented, other-oriented, and environment-oriented. And after interviewing the 5 ISPers, we have figured out that not every cultural values have a significant impact on Gen Z in hospitality industry. And here is our result.
According to the results of the survey, the consumer behavior of Gen Z in Vietnam is affected by collectivism. Collectivism is a defining characteristic of Southeast Asian culture, stated in Consumer Behavior by Dale I. Hawkins and David L. Mothersbaugh, and Building Marketing Strategy by McGraw-Hill-Irwin in 2009. Vietnam is a highly collective country, and Gen Z tend to inherit this cultural value too. Gen Z people are affected by the 4th Industrial Revolution. The presence of technology innovation creates a more connective world. When information is more approachable, they share knowledge, perspectives, and feelings within the community. They make use of social network sites, external sources of information, like a reference. In particular, Vietnamese young people want to belong to a group to enhance safety, caring, and protection among group members. Food is a key community activity for the Vietnamese. For example, family parties and staff outings. Eating out is a common habit for Vietnamese citizens in urban areas. Customers consider cleanliness as an important factor when it comes to select an accommodation or an F&B. However, they don't take cleanliness as a crucial factor to evaluate transport brands, which will not affect much on their decision-making. Although the young do not want to spend too much money on accommodation when traveling due to the low income, they do care about its cleanliness. As shown from the survey, 95.4% of the respondents disagree with the statement, "I do not have a high demand for the cleanliness of accommodation when traveling." Hence, most of them would love to stay at an accommodation with daily cleaning services because it gives them comfort and relaxation while traveling. The data has shown to us that today, people pay attention on the cleanliness of the ingredients and processing process. Indeed, according to Vietnam Report study, people nowadays are willing to pay a higher price for the clean products. As a result we get from the survey, Gen Z in Vietnam didn't take consider of performance and status value. They don't care too much about choosing brand products that can represent their class and status. According to the graph, the answer accounted for the highest percentage is that consuming high-value products or eating at a luxury restaurant does not significantly affect their status. In fact, The demographic data shows that their income level mostly from 2 to 5 million Vietnam dong. So Gen Z does not have enough financial capacity to pay and the needs of consumer luxury restaurants. Instead, they can find many other ways to express individual identity. In addition, the results from accommodation indicate the same result, which 43.1% of the respondents disagree with the statement, an accommodation can show my society class. From Expedia, Gen Z are catching up with the new trend of exploring and adventurous, and they also want to save money for other activities during the journey. Hence, it is not so difficult to figure out why nearly 74% of the respondents disagree and disinterested with the survey statement. On the other hand, making a decision on tourism results in the survey is different from the result that we've found in other papers about the behavior of Gen Z in another industry. They still enjoy expressing their thoughts, understanding, and their level. A paper has stated they need multiplayer games, have big tournaments to get the right to interact. There must be famous people who stream to the game, then they will be communicating with the celebrities, and to comment on the table win and share feelings together. Even they would like to use service or goods that represents their class. In the tourism industry, Gen Z does not take a brand of transport service they use as a factor represent their class or status. They want to spend more money on other things rather than transport, such as food, hobbies, and clothes. There is different consumer behaviors in Gen Z when they choose services in three industries: tourism, accommodation, and F&B. The results show that Gen Z consumers open up to new and modern technologies. According to CMO Home and Lifestyle Retailer, Gen Z is always online and they expect everything to be available on demand because Gen Z is used to owning everything at hand 24/7. Vietnam is also witnessing the battle of mobile payment platforms such as Momo, GrabPay, Samsung Pay. In the near future, mobile applications will be replaced as a method of payment instead of cash. Book transport online will be more common. And this encourages Gen Z to interact with new and high tech, since they are very open-minded and have been living with the changes for their entire lives. Therefore, they will use the technological factor as an important input when they make decisions. Gen Z tend to try a new trending foods and drinks, but they still turn to traditional ones. The survey shows that they observe new trends, which accounts for 72.7%, but also 79.5% tend to return to old values. Indeed, Gen Z was born in globalization. Vietnam has opened to trade cultural values, which explain why they prefer new trend. However, Vietnam is also a traditional country. Gen Z also tend to eat traditional cuisines. Therefore, the result is approximate equal between tradition and change tendency. The result of the survey illustrated staying with residents to experience the lifestyle as well as the culture is still a new kind of travel for young people. Indeed, Gen Z would rather choose a common accommodation like hotel or homestay than local houses in the forest to stay, as those accommodations cannot provide convenience and full service as other forms of places young people could feel uncomfortable. Therefore, the figures from the survey showed that a large proportion of respondents are not so interested in this kind of accommodation. Risk and security only affect tourism. Gen Z has a high sense of security as they tend to research carefully before trying a new mean of transport. 88.7% agree that they will research carefully before trying a new transportation. From the survey results, nature has an impact on two fields only, tourism and accommodation. Our respondents respond neutral to this value. To accommodation, ecotourism or camping becomes much more popular where young people can experience open space and immerse themselves in nature. In addition, they can save time and money in traveling as most of the activities occur at the same place with the accommodation. In F&B, 75% of the respondents answer that they are willing to refuse using products of brand having negative effects on the environment. Young generation knows that their roles as the key of the future, so that they are ready to take action to stop irresponsible and unethical business. Despite the fact that people are now paying more attention to consume organic food to have a better health, our respondents mostly think that organic food is essential, but it is not a must for choices, which accounts for 43.4%. In tourism, they still like the experience close to nature, but the sense of environmental protection is not as high as we thought. Green consumption behavior is still quite strange to most Vietnamese people. The green consumption activities have only been implemented to raise community awareness in the use of ecological products, eco-friendly plastic bags, and are mostly individual activities, not connected. The scope of impact is only within the framework of a direct beneficiary group, so it is not yet common. In tourism and accommodation, Gen Z people are believed to be highly active. The results in our survey showed how actively they make decisions about their transport methods and dynamically to explore places. Besides, they are more proactive in finding out where to stay than pre-arranged accommodation of tours. This is partly because of the presence of new technology, which is smartphone, which helps them to have more options in an easier and faster way. In F&B, the graph has shown that Gen Z people tend to go out for eating accounts for 88.7%, even the food store is far away. However, 79.6% of Gen Z people today also likely to order food from delivery food app from food store or restaurant to their home just on one click. While accommodation and tourism has an uncorrelated relationship with sensual gratification and abstinence, this value plays an important role towards F&B. Different from other generations, the Vietnamese Z generation is more enjoyable in eating. Eating is no longer to survive, but to experience the taste, the delicacy of dishes, and the atmosphere at a restaurant or even the service. Vietnamese people are willing to pay for their personal fulfillment and satisfaction beyond the minimum requirements. The consumers in Gen Z are not willing to pay for the highest quality services or luxury goods. From Brand Vietnam News, Z generation wants high quality, fashionable, and useful products that look expensive but not really expensive, and most importantly, their friends don't own those products. This is a generation that likes to show off, to impress, to focus on the look, to be attracted by the products that look trendy, to be admired. Z generation people still focuses on the material and appearance, but they aren't willing to pay a premium price for those products. The result that Gen Z are willing to pay more for a good accommodation does not mean that luxury and high-end facilities are really essential to them. As young people prefer experience activities and culture more than to stay inside when traveling, spend money on other things may bring more values to them. Gen Z chooses a food store or a restaurant based on its food quality and menu rather than the appearance of the place. This is due to the fact that Vietnamese usually eat out for the main meal of a day, so it is important to consider about the menu and food quality. On the other hand, other results accounted for almost the same, which have the variation from 13.6% for the lowest to 20.5% for the second highest column. It means that based on different purpose, the choosing focus will be divergent. And that is the end of our video. Throughout the research, it's obvious to see how each cultural values differently affect the three areas in hospitality industry. We hope that after this video, the marketers may have a deeper understanding about Gen Z people in order to have the best marketing approach.